Good morning, this is your Cherry Peak Ski Report for Saturday, March 9th, 2024. We have a mid-mountain base depth of 57 inches with no new snow in the past 24 hours. Roads to the mountain are bare and dry, and the skies are mostly clear. Today's operational hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. day skiing and 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. for night skiing. We'll be operating Gateway Triple Chairlift, Vista Triple Chairlift, and the Summit Lift. We'll also be turning the Magic Carpet. This will service the Bunny Hill and tubing. Be sure to complete your digital waiver before arrival for all tubing tickets. Well, last night was one for the books. Thank you for all coming out to Star Wars night. We lit up the sky, and the costumes were great. We appreciate everybody coming out and making their memories. But today, it's all about our annual pass sale that has launched. No inflation, last year's prices. We did not inflate. It's last year's prices for 3 days only. Go to skicpr.com for any further information and details. We'll catch you at the peak.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without a homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide on this Saturday morning. Mark Anderson along with Will Feel right here in the KVNU studios. As we were joking before we started this show, Mark, that feels a lot more like spring today than it did a week ago as we brought the show back and had our first show of the season and dealing with the rain and the snow. It just never really let up last weekend.
No, last Saturday was kind of scary with the thunder and the lightning and the hail, and it just kind of brought winter back with it. And we've had some nice snow this week, and it's great. We'll take the moisture, but we need some sunshine so I can get out and till my garden.
Yeah. What's the old saying? The March comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb.
Yeah.
So
we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Let's see if that happens.
Yeah, we need some sunshine because I'm looking at my garden going, I want to get that tilled, and I've got some things I want to plant, and it's kind of wet, but we've got some nice weather coming. Looks like so. Exciting, very exciting, and a lot of exciting things happening at Anderson's as well too. So we're starting to get bare root plants in. So we've got bare root onions that have arrived, but I've got another batch of onions coming next week when it finally dries out, where people can get out and plant. And it looks like our sets will be in next week as well too. So the onion sets will be in also. Potatoes should be showing up next week. So exciting to see the potatoes show up as well. It's plenty early, but I've got people asking for them already. And then strawberry plants will be showing up next week as well too. So the bare root strawberries will be there. We probably won't see raspberries for another week or two. It's just a little too
early.
wet, yeah. And they're all local, so they've got to get rid of the snow and get the mud dried out before they can dig those. But grapes will be showing up. Probably not this coming week, but the week after. So we'll have grapes showing up there as well too. So a lot of bare root plants showing up, and fruit trees. Fruit trees are starting to arrive. So we've got a lot of fruit trees from Dave Wilson, which is one of our sources. We've got two other sources that will be coming throughout the month. So if we don't have everything that you're looking for with this first batch, then we'll have more. Arriving
in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So almost every week for the next couple weeks, we'll have new bare root fruit trees showing up, and we'll keep them bare root as long as we can. Last year we kept them bare root until about mid-April before we had to pot them up. But some years it's the first week of April we got to start potting them up because the weather's just so great.
When it starts, getting warmer.
Yeah, they just start leafing out, and when they start to leaf out, they've got to get planted, or else it does some damage to them. And so we'll keep them bare root as long as possible. But I would suspect probably through the first week of April is when we'll have to start potting up those bare root trees. So a lot of bare root plants coming. We've got small fruits, so currants and gooseberries and blueberries will be showing up here in probably about 2 weeks as well too. So all those plants are rolling in. We're just excited for spring. to show up. So lots of bare root plants, but there's some great classes coming up at Anderson's next week. And so if you want to do some classes, this is a really great time to do it. On the 13th, which is Wednesday, so Wednesday the 13th at 6 o'clock, we're doing our giant pumpkin growing seminar. So this is if you want to grow giant pumpkins for the Giant Pumpkin Way Off that we're going to have in September. And so we've got experts coming to share information. We'll be teaching everything you need to know to be successful. That doesn't mean you're going to grow a 1,000-pound pumpkin your first time around. It's a lot more difficult than you think, but we'll teach all the basics. So that's going to be a really fun seminar, and it's for all ages. So kids are welcome to come. We had a lot of kids participate last year in the pumpkin growing way off. So in the Giant Pumpkin Way Off, and that was a lot of fun to see the kids growing 300-pound pumpkins as well too. So it was pretty cool. I think we actually had one that got really close to 500 last year in the kids category. So this is for kids and big kids as well. So
and when we were talking last week that not only do you have to have the commitment to grow a big pumpkin, but you need a lot of space.
It's a lot of space, yeah. So my giant pumpkins that I grew last year, I had 2 vines that I grew. They took up 30 by 30 space, so they take up a lot of space. So you got to have a lot of room, and got to have some time and some patience, and got to add some soil amendments and fertilizers and all kinds of different things to really get big pumpkins. But it is definitely doable. So we're doing that seminar Wednesday at 6 o'clock at Anderson Seed and Garden. And everyone who is interested in learning how to grow giant pumpkins, you are welcome to come participate. We do want people to sign up, though, because I really only have seats for about 30 to 34 people. So sign up. We've got sign-ups on. If they're not on our website already, they're going to be, and you can always call into the store, and they'll help walk you through it and get you registered for it, because we really kind of have to limit how many people are going to show up. Otherwise, we will run out of space. We'll run out of space. Then on the 14th, we have a pruning class at 6:30, also at Anderson's, but this is through the USU Extension, and so our USU Extension agent, J.D. Gunnell, will be teaching that class. Yeah, J.D. does a great job with the pruning class, and this is one you have to sign up for through USU. So this is through the USU Extension, and I believe there is a cost. It's $10 to participate in that class. It's full every time he does it. Every time we do this class, it fills up. So make sure and get signed up quick if you want to learn the basics of pruning, and JD will just walk you through it, spoon feed it to you, teach you everything you need to know, so you'll be really comfortable when you get out and you start doing some pruning. So the 14th, which is a Thursday, 6:30, pruning class with USU Extension at Anderson Seed and Garden. Got to sign up online.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one. You got to sign up through USU Extension online, but that's a really easy process as well too. Giant pumpkin class the day before is free, so no cost for that. But you definitely want to sign up through our sign up process as well too. And then on the 16th, which is next Saturday, on the 16th at 1 p.m. So this is an afternoon class. We're going to be teaching people how to plant bare root plants. So there's there's a process that you go through. There's some things that you can definitely do to ensure you will be more successful with your bare root plants. And this is a free seminar also. So this is just like right after lunch. So this is our lunch seminar at 1 p.m. also at Anderson Seed and Garden. You can also sign up for this one. Seating is limited. We're limited to about 30 people. So make sure and sign up for the class and come and enjoy. It's a really fun class. You'll learn how to plant bare root, but you can use the same principles for when you're planting, established plants in pots as well too. So the principles are quite similar, but there's some tricks to really being more successful when you're planting bare root than just throwing them in the ground and waving your magic wand over them and hoping they come up. Yeah, exactly. So 3 great classes coming up this week. So 13th at Anderson's, giant pumpkin growing. On the 14th, pruning class with USU Extension. And on the 16th, the bare root class. That's an afternoon class, where the other 2 are evening classes. So planting bare root, successful planting bare root.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some great classes coming up at Anderson's.
Really great classes.
And we're going to be talking during the show a little bit about pruning and bare root planting, and also some of the other questions that have come up at Anderson Seed and Garden over the last week. Now, we aren't able to take calls today, so unfortunately the phone lines are not able to be answered. But we'll get back to the phone calls coming up in another week.
It's due to all the amazing construction going on at the radio show.
You can say it's amazing because to you it looks amazing, but for some of the rest of us, it's a day in and day out ongoing process.
You know, when we did the last show in November, you'd started the reconstruction.
Yep.
And when I thought when I come back in March, it's like, oh, it's going to be like done by the time I come back in March. Nope.
No.
It's
a very slow process.
It's happening, but you know,
it's like gardening. It's a very slow process.
Yep. You got to be patient, but you know, where you've got all the studios, though, you know, you can't just like shut them all down and you know just keep working.
Yeah.
You got to just do one at a time.
Ideally, you could just go off the air for okay, everybody, give us a month and we'll be back.
That's a little.
But a lot happens.
That's a little tough. Yeah, that's a little tough. So that's all right. Home and Garden Show's coming up soon.
Yes.
Yeah, 22nd and 23rd, and it sounds like I just talked to Greg. It sounds like all the booths are full. Like it's full.
I think the last we heard, every booth is now all filled up. All of the food vendors are signed up. So yeah, it's going to be a big show.
That sounds like fun. So on Friday the 22nd, it starts at 10, doesn't it?
Yeah.
10 and goes until 7.
Till 6 or 7 at night.
Yeah. And then on the 23rd, I think it starts at 9 in the morning and goes until 6.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to it.
And we've been talking about the idea of maybe doing the garden show from the Home and Garden Show.
I think we should do that.
Yeah,
so
on the 23rd.
We'll do the garden guide right from the Home and Garden Show. And Anderson's, we are planning on bringing all kinds of cool plants so you can see plants and get excited about spring. We'll have a bunch of seed collections. We'll have some seed starting equipment and some seedlings that we've started and have gotten ready to transplant. And we'll probably have a little information on the Pumpkin Festival as well, too.
Okay.
Yeah. So it should be a great time. We always are doing some planting and showing off some different plants and getting people excited about gardening for the year.
Yeah.
So it'll be a lot of fun. And as usual, we'll be there with lots of things to look at.
And it'll feel more like spring than it does right now.
Let's hope so. Last year, I remember watching the snow just accumulate at the Home and Garden Show, which was kind of rude, but that was last year.
We should have almost called it the winter show.
Yeah.
But
so I was talking to Mayor Holly Danes yesterday, and the snowpack up Logan Canyon is now at 130%. 130%. So we have a lot of snow, and that snow is like full of water. And so we were actually talking. It's like the Logan City's like prepping for potential flooding again.
We could be looking at Logan River.
Even though we don't have 200% like we did last year, but if it all melts and comes down all at once, like we didn't have that. We were so fortunate, so blessed last year to have that runoff just so gradual that we just didn't have. I mean, we had some flooding, absolutely, but we didn't have what we could have had. You know, even this year with 130%, if it all melts at once, we gotta be ready. And so it sounds like we'll have plenty of water this year for gardening.
Good.
And we should have plenty of water to keep our landscapes looking nice.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. But reservoirs are definitely going to fill up this year, and they're going to be overflowing.
I saw earlier, it was first of this month, that the Utah Division of Water Quality was saying that our reservoirs right now are at around 80% compared to last year when they were around 50%.
Yeah.
So
big difference. So they're going to have to start releasing some water here pretty soon, because I look at Logan River and there's a lot of water in there right now, and we haven't even started the snowpack melt.
Yeah.
So 130% is what we're dealing with. So we shouldn't have any water issues, and I think we'll watch the Great Salt Lake come up even more this year than last year. So last year it came up about 6 feet, and this year I'll bet we will get 7 or 8.
That would be great.
Yeah, it'd be great. It does get bigger though, as it starts to fill up. So it might not increase quite that much.
Not that high.
Yeah, but it'll fill up a lot. So that'll be
Well, and speaking of water, that's one of the things that maybe we can start off in talking about some of the questions that you're getting right now, because the soil is saturated right now, which is great.
It's really good.
If you're wanting, for example, to plant some bare root trees.
Yeah. So the biggest issue we've got right now is if you dig a hole, it fills up with water, and so we want good drainage. In fact, I was talking to a couple customers just Wednesday, and also with my brother, because he's got a couple of trees he wants to plant. And the one thing that I think a lot of people forget about is you can't just dig the hole the same size as the pot that the tree's in. And so if you're buying a fruit tree in a 5-gallon or a 7-gallon pot, most people will skimp on digging the hole, and you just dig it just slightly bigger than the pot that it's currently in. But really, you want to dig it 2 to 3 times bigger. And if you're in a location in the valley where you've got heavier soil, you need to dig that hole 3 times bigger so that it has plenty of room to grow before it hits the harder soil around there. And so that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make. They just don't dig a big enough hole. It doesn't have to be really deep. So if your pot's only 16 inches deep, you only need to dig your hole 16 inches deep. You don't have to go way deeper, but you want to dig it much, much wider.
Okay.
And then incorporate some really nice, fluffy, tree and shrub potting soil, or a good, raised bed mix. There's a lot of different soil amendments we can mix in there, but you want to loosen and lighten that soil up as much as possible, so that as the tree or the shrub or whatever plant you're planting, even if it's like a bare root raspberry, you want to have plenty of room for that root system to expand and to grow before it hits the heavier soil. And where you've conditioned the soil, it's going to hold the moisture a lot better too, so your plant's going to not struggle with lack of water because the soil's not holding the moisture properly. So if we prep that hole properly, you're going to be a lot more successful, whether you're doing trees or whether you're doing strawberries or whether you're even just transplanting a tomato plant.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes that much of a difference to have a nice big hole with some nice, good conditioned soil in there for your plants to grow. And then we're going to treat it with a root stimulator with a little fertilizer, and we're going to build some mycorrhiza into the soil and really get that root system going before your plant really, really starts to grow. But then if we have that nice foundation for that, then you'll notice a big difference.
Yeah.
It'll just grow that much better.
One of the things that we did, we replaced 2 of our fruit trees that we had lost last fall. Right. And it took me all afternoon. And I was out there, and a couple times my wife came out and she's like, "You've got the hole big enough." And I kept saying, "I'm just going to keep going bigger because we have a lot of rock too."
Yep.
And if you can get rid of some of that rock, break up that clay, it just really makes a big difference.
Probably about 7 or 8 years ago, we decided to start putting some new trees on our hillside. So we live on Canyon Road right below Utah State. So if you walk out the business building and go south and just kind of
go off the hill
and just kind of roll all the way down to the bottom, we live down in that area. And so the hillside, there's a wonderful trail that everybody uses back behind there, which is where the canal used to be, and it's a great place to recreate. So everybody's running and riding bikes and doing stuff there. And so we've got some box elder trees that are all there, but we're trying to put some newer trees in because at some point those box elders are gonna go and they're gonna have to be taken down, and we want to have some other trees growing before we have to take those box elders out. So I went up there, and it's very sloped, and it's just like you say, it's so rocky. Yeah, it's just so rocky, and it took me all day to dig 3 or 4 holes big enough up there, and then I had to haul these larger 10-gallon sized trees up there to plant them, but every single one of them has done so well. I've got them on a drip system. They only get watered once every 2 weeks. I don't water them very often, but just a good deep water every 2 weeks. And those trees have just flourished up there. They've done really well. But it took me, I sympathize. It took forever to dig those holes because it's so rocky. I'm up there with a pickaxe and a pry bar, digging through there. But what a difference it made for getting those established and getting those growing. to have that nice big hole
Yeah.
to grow in. Otherwise, they would have been fighting with the rocks, and you can't believe the tin cans and the stuff that I pulled out of there as well too.
It's like the old saying, an ounce of prevention, a pound of cure. It really does make a difference.
Sometimes you dig in some of those areas that where the rocks slide off the hillside, and you start digging in there, and it's almost like an archive. You can like find all kinds of stuff in there. It's like, man, I didn't. This can's been here for a long time.
Yeah. Digging up the yard last spring. And then, of course, man, for the next week, my shoulders just were sore. Just ripped to shreds. So
in the long run, it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
It's totally worth it. So.
Well, now you mentioned root stimulator that really can help bear root. Are there other things that you can add to planting bare root plants that really help those roots to take off?
So on our website, AndersonSeedandGarden.com, and we have built a new website over the last year, and the website is so functional. It's really easy to find stuff. We've got all the podcasts of the radio show on there, which is amazing. So you can go back and you can listen to all the versions of the garden guide that we've done over the years. We have all of our videos that are linked up to our YouTube channel. There are, I think, 300 plus videos on there on how to do different things that we've done over the last 10 years or so.
Makes for a lot of binge watching.
That's a lot of binge watching, but some of them are a little repetitive on certain items, but most of them are all unique and different. And so there's all the videos there. But then we have all of our information guides on how to grow stuff. So there's information on how to grow every single fruit that grows here, from cherry trees to pear trees and everything in between, and then all the small fruits as well too. And it teaches you how to train your raspberries or to trellis your grapes, and all that information is right in there for all the small fruits. But we have the same information for vegetables as well too. So all that information is there on our website for free. And one of the best guides that I have on there is our planting guide. And it kind of walks you through the whole process, and it's photographic, and so it's got pictures of, this is how you should dig your hole, this is how you should pull your tree out of the pot, this is where you place it, this is what you mix in there, and it's got pictures of everything. So it's not just a verbal description of how to do it. Actually shows you how to do it. And for some people, it's easier to like read through that and see the pictures than it is to kind of like watch a video. I know some people are just like, I can only learn stuff on YouTube. I have to watch the video. Well, this is kind of like the best of both worlds, because it's got the text instructions, but it also shows you how to do it at the same time. So it's very explicit, and it shows you how to do it. But the keys are to use a good soil amendment to mix in with the soil that you take out of the hole. So when you dig that really big hole, you got all this extra dirt. And so we recommend a nice mixture of, like, say, a soil building conditioner, maybe a lightweight potting mix that's high in peat moss and coconut coir. And zeolite is really great if you need to have a little bit more drainage in there as well too. So there's a lot of really good amendments. And most of the time I'll dig that soil out, and I'll either put it on a tarp or I'll throw it into my wheelbarrow. And when I've got it in the wheelbarrow, then I can add the other soil to it. Maybe filter the rocks out. I'll pull all the rocks and stuff out. But then I'll add my soil amendment right to the wheelbarrow, and then I can just like churn it right in the wheelbarrow, which is really, really easy to do. So you fill your 6 cubic foot wheelbarrow halfway up, then you can put your soil amendment in there, and we usually recommend about 30% to add to what you've pulled out of the hole. 30% mix is really nice. And then you can like kind of just turn it over and kind of mix it in while it's right there in the wheelbarrow. And then when you get your plant into the hole, you can put that nice soil back in there. And then you'll have some soil left over to kind of make a berm to hold the moisture around the exterior of the hole. So I'll make a little berm so it'll hold the water in there when I fill it up. And then we always water with a root stimulator like Kangaroo Roots or Fertilome root stimulator. There's some really great ones out there. We like the Kangaroo Roots. It smells terrible, but it works like crazy. It's like one of the best root stimulators we've ever used. It's full of beneficial microbes, microorganisms, and mycorrhiza that are going to really encourage root development, get that plant established as fast as possible, make its root system just take off and look for water and nutrient, and it'll help them get established much, much better. So we use the root stimulator, either the Kangaroo Roots or the Fertilome root stimulator. Has a little fertilizer in there as well too, so it's got enough nutrient to get things going. Usually I'll add a slow release fertilizer as well too, something like Start and Grow from Fertilome is awesome. It's a 3 to 4 month slow release fertilizer. You can just kind of sprinkle a little bit on the top of the soil once you get that backfilled. And every time you water, it'll just feed them just a little bit. So the Start and Grow works great. And then the real critical component at that point is to prune your plant. So you prune your plant after you've got it planted in its new location. Like with our bare root trees, we prune them very aggressively so that the root system has strength to take off, and it doesn't have to sustain this huge plant up on top. So it's a really critical component that you do some aggressive pruning, whether it's a bare root plant or whether it's a newly planted tree. We're going to prune it back so it doesn't have to work so hard to keep that plant alive. Yeah, to keep it alive, and it really does make a big difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're hitting the bottom of the hour, but we've got more things to talk about, including how to take care of your lawns, bring them out of dormancy, how to take care of your flower beds. Great time right now to put fertilizer on both your flower beds and your lawn. We're going to talk more about that coming up. Plus, also, as we were mentioning earlier, a lot of new product coming into Anderson Seed and Garden. Potatoes, strawberries, all going to be coming in. And so a lot more to talk about, and we'll be doing that coming up in just a minute as you're listening to The Garden Guide here on KVNU.
Bill Walter, KVNU News. No one was hurt after 2 reported shots-fired incidents in West Valley City. Officers from the West Valley City Police Department responded to the area near 3500 South, 3200 West around 7 o'clock Thursday night. Police are investigating as it appeared people from 2 different vehicles had fired shots. Multiple people were taken into custody as officers worked to determine just what happened and if the incidents were related. While the date, Sunday, March 24th, may pass imperceptibly, for many, millions around the world will gather at sundown to commemorate the death of Jesus Christ. Considered the most important day of the year for Jehovah's Witnesses, the memorial is observed annually on Nisan 14 of the Jewish calendar in adherence to Jesus' statement, "Keep doing this in remembrance of me." Though there are over 8.6 million Jehovah's Witnesses around the world, over 20 million people attended the event last year. The 1-hour event will feature a talk highlighting the significance of Jesus' death and what it means for mankind. In northern Utah and elsewhere, a special campaign has been launched during March to invite local residents to attend the annual observance of the Lord's evening meal, as well as a special public talk that will be delivered in most congregations the week before. The title of the talk, The Resurrection, Victory Over Death, will be delivered the weekend of March 16th and 17th. However, it will be delivered Sunday, March 10th in the Logan English-speaking congregation. KVNU weather, nice weekend, partly cloudy skies, highs around 40 on Saturday, around 50 on Sunday. For the latest news, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
From ABC Sports, I'm Mark Remillard. The Lakers were without LeBron James again last night, hosting the Bucks. Down 1 late in the fourth, a different face had to deliver for L.A. to win it.
Russell with 10 seconds remaining. Russell driving, gets into the paint. 10-footer, good! But there are 6 seconds left.
7:10 ESPN LA with that call. D'Angelo Russell capped a 44-point night with that jumper. The Lakers would get the final stop on defense to stun the Bucks, 123-122. Returning early from a knee injury, Jalen Brunson led the Knicks to a dominant win over the Magic, limiting Orlando to a season-low 74 points. Brunson had 26 points in his return. After the game, he'd say every win during the final stretch is a big one.
Doesn't matter who it is. Clearly in the standings, we're never right there with them. But doesn't matter who we're playing. We got to step up every game with the same mentality and same mindset.
In Cleveland, the Cavs held off the Timberwolves in overtime, 113-104, led by 34 points from Darius Garland and a career-high 33 points from Jarrett Allen. The loss of the Cavs knocks Minnesota down a peg in the West standings. The Thunder leapfrogged the Wolves for the top spot, beating the Heat 107-100. The Pelicans also beat the Sixers in Philly 103-95. In the NHL, the Wild at the Avalanche. Valerie Nichushkin would find the back of the net on the power play to win it in overtime. overtime.
Now McCarr, no shooting lane. McKinnon fakes it. Rantanen in front. Nichushkin was there. He scores!
KKSE with the call. 2-1 Avs the final. The Jets shut out the Kraken 3-0 and the Stars over the Ducks 6-2. In the women's Big Ten quarterfinals, Caitlin Clark passed Steph Curry for the most three-pointers in a season in D1 history, reaching 164 threes as Iowa beat Penn State 95-62. I'm Mark Remillard, ABC Sports.
For our military families, Americans can show appreciation through education.
Because of you, I will walk across the stage.
I can show my children that they can succeed at any point in their life.
I will be able to make a positive difference in the lives of other people.
I was able to achieve my dreams and work on eradicate some of the world's top diseases.
I was able to get the education that I always wanted.
Because of you, I will be paying it forward and serving my nation.
Join us at ThanksUSA.org.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
From gardening to landscaping, The Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Garden Guide here on KVNU. I'm Will Feelwright, along with our host, Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden, who, of course, all things garden, Mr. Garden Guru himself. And we were talking fruit trees earlier, how to get fruit trees established, because right now, a great time to plant bare root fruit trees. You can get those started, and right now with the water that we've got in the soil right now, if you can get a little of that moisture out so you can dig a hole, boy, those bare roots will just take off.
Yeah, perfect time. And where we've had such a moist spring to start off with, it will probably continue that way for a little bit. So cool and wet is a great time to really get stuff planted and allow it time to get established before the heat kicks in, because we know it's going to get hot here one of these days.
Yeah, it will. It will.
It's going to get hot.
Now, we mentioned, too, as we were going into the bottom of the hour break, bare root plants coming in. And they're kind of coming in every week. So if you don't see something that you're wanting right now, give it a week, and chances are more is coming.
Probably more, yeah. So we have 3 different sources for fruit trees, and they don't all the varieties don't all show up at once. So if you're something you're looking for specifically, let us know. We'll get you on our call list, and as soon as it comes in, we'll give you a call. But we have so many different varieties of fruit trees, whether it's some unique different cherries. I've got some combination fruits where we've got combo cherries and combo apples and combo pears that have 3 or 4 different varieties on them, and those will be showing up towards the end of this month. But got some really cold hardy peaches and nectarines that can handle our severe winters a little bit better. We've just got some great varieties, and then all the small fruits are showing up. So strawberries are coming in this coming week, and then grapes will be coming right after that, and then all the blueberries and the blackberries and the boysenberries and just a little bit of everything. Currants, yeah, this is the time of year when all those plants start showing up. And again, like you said, if there's something that's not in stock right now, all you got to do is wait a week and it'll be here. But if you would like a notification when it does show up, we are happy to give you a call when those plants show up. Unfortunately, we have so many fruit trees in stock, it's hard for us to set them aside for people. And so when we bring in 1,000 trees at a time, we're just trying to keep those trees
you got to get them all labeled,
separated. We got to label and get them grouped in. And then if we have to set aside 150 trees for people, I don't have anywhere to put them.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to do. So what we'll do is we'll have it on the call list, and then as soon as those trees show up and they're tagged and they're ready to be sold, we'll give you a call and say, hey, come and get them, because some of those peaches, I bring in 30 of the Harkin peach, which is an amazing, really sweet, super hardy peach that comes from Canada. And if you don't come in within a week, they're gone. Yeah, they're like gone. Everybody's like snatches them up. So we do our best to notify people the minute that they're ready. And at that point, you wanna come and grab them, because they disappear really fast. So bare root stuff, it's that season.
Yeah.
It's time to get going.
Okay. So we were talking as we were going into the bottom of the hour that now's a great time to help get your lawn ready to come out of dormancy. A lot of our lawns just barely getting the snow melted off of them. May even see some snow mold that is always possible this time of year.
We haven't had the deep snow on the lawn like we did last year.
Yeah.
And so we haven't seen nearly as much vole damage, and so there's not as much vole damage to have to repair this year, hopefully. I'm sure there's probably parts of the valley that have some. And we're not seeing nearly as many diseases as well, too. But to start off the season, usually we'll wait for the snow to melt, and if the snow just doesn't want to melt off, early application of Humate makes a huge difference. So the Humate's got fulvic and humic acids in there, so it will actually melt the snow faster. So if you broadcast that out, not only is it black and it generates a lot of heat with the sunshine, but it's got those natural acids in there, so it'll actually melt the snow really, really quickly if you want to get that snow off your turf. And I'll usually do that first. And then after we've got the Humate going, then a couple weeks later, maybe just a little bit after St. Patrick's Day or before the end of this month, great time to put your initial fertilizer on. And to start the season off with, we recommend more of a balanced fertilizer, like 16, 16, 16,
Triple.
16, 16, 8 with some iron in there would be great. I've got a really good special price on 16, 16, 8 with 3% iron right now. Really great deal. I think it's like $29 for 50 pounds. Yeah, 35. I think it might be 35, but a really great price on that for a 50-pound bag, which will cover about 8,000 square feet if you want something to just kind of perk up the lawn. And since it's a general-purpose fertilizer, you can throw a little bit in the flower beds as well, kind of get your perennials going and your shrubs going as well, too. And if you need a little something for the garden to get the early vegetables going, that's a great general-purpose fertilizer to use in the vegetable garden, in the flower beds, in the shrub plantings, and also on your lawn at the same time. So it's nice to be able to just do it all at once.
Do it all at once.
Yeah, do it all at once. If you're trying to go after some weeds like pre-emergent to prevent like crabgrass or foxtail or goosegrass, we recommend you wait a little bit longer, closer to like mid-April. So after Easter is our normal recommendation. Easter's a little early this year. I think it's on the 31st of March. And so push it a week or two after Easter. But that's when you should put your pre-emergent on. If you put your pre-emergent on too early, most of the weeds that we're trying to target, the crabgrass and the foxtail and the goosegrass and the spurge, they all germinate about the first or second week of May. And so if you put it on too early, and that product only lasts 2 to 3 months, say you put it on the middle of March, it's wearing off the middle of May when those weeds are germinating.
When it's actually
and so we want to wait until about mid-April to apply it so that it's at peak effectiveness when those seeds are germinating in the soil. And it's very consistent. Utah State has studied this many, many, many years, and it's very consistent when the soil temperature reaches a certain degree. That's when those seeds all start to germinate, and it almost always happens the first part of May.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just no matter what the weather's like, it just almost always happens the first part of May. Last year was a little delayed because we had snow and cold for so long, but traditionally it's around that first week, second week of May. And so to put your pre-emergent on in mid-March, it's too early. It's too early. You gotta wait a little bit and then apply it. So that's why we like to put the Humate on, because it really jump starts your soil and gets your grass going without making it grow out of control. So it'll turn it green without it growing so fast. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, go ahead and put your pre-emergent fertilizer combo on, and then it will be at peak effectiveness for the seed germination time for those target weeds we're going after, the spurge, the crabgrass, the foxtail, the goosegrass. Yeah.
And that Humate a lot easier than what my neighbor was doing several years ago when we moved into the neighborhood, and I see him out there shoveling his lawn one morning, and I go out and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm getting rid of the snow. And I said, there are easier ways.
Yeah. Last year, though, I was out shoveling snow off the lawn to get it to spread it out, because it was so deep in a couple of areas where the snowblower had just piled it like 6 feet deep, and that's where it was really slow melting. So, but yes, so with our lawn program, our recommendation is to start your fertilizer applications between St. Patrick's and Easter. It's a really great way to remember when to put the first one on. And Easter is usually around the 10th of April. So Just plan on the 15th of March to the 15th of April is really the best time to put your first application of fertilizer on. And that first application is fairly important. You know, if you did a really good winterizer in the fall, there's nutrients still out there, and the grass is going to pick that up and use it. But probably your most important fertilizations of the year would be like our step 2, right before the heat kicks in the summer, and then that winterizer. But then step 1 is right there after it. So this is a fairly important application of fertilizer to bring that lawn out of dormancy and to get it looking good and to help prepare it for the summertime as well too. So between 15th of March, 15th of April, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, that's your time period when to go for it.
And you know, if you do have areas where the snow is just piled up, maybe that's where you were shoveling and that lawn just seems to just be laying down.
Yeah.
We found just running over with a good rake, it just helps lift that up, breaks up some of the thatch that has accumulated. And helps it take
and your
off.
first mowing should be really short. So when you get your lawnmower out to kind of do that first mowing and just kind of clean things up for the year, mow really close. So we'll mow very close in the fall, and we'll mow very close in the early spring, and then start raising your mower after that. Yeah, and so that really does help. And if you get your humate on like this weekend while the weather's great, you know, get that humate on, let it do its thing. In 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be able to do your first mowing, and you'll mow, and it will be just green and beautiful underneath there because the humate's already perked the lawn up.
Taking off.
Yeah, it's already got things going. So it works very, very well to get that first mowing done without having to do quite so much work to prep it.
And one of the advantages, too, of using a fertilizer is if you want to incorporate some new grass seed and scatter that at the same time, it can help bring in some new mix of grass.
Just make sure you don't use a pre-emergent
right
with the grass. So if you're putting a good fertilizer on like the 16-16-8 that we talked about earlier that we've got on special, that would be very compatible with your new seed.
Some new seed.
And I've got a lot of people coming in right now, and they're like, I want to incorporate some new grass into my lawn. I need a variety that's going to be less needy for water. And there's some really great mixes that don't need as much water. They don't get bugs, like they're resistant to the insects, they're resistant to diseases, and they look really, really great. So we've got a new mix that we started using last fall. It's called Eden, and the Eden has just some gorgeous grasses in there. So it's got some turf-type dwarf tall fescues that don't get so big and thick and coarse, and it's mixed in with some very aggressive bluegrasses that are super drought tolerant. And so you could cut your watering back by 50% with this grass and keep it green and looking great throughout the summertime. But it repairs itself really quickly. And so if you get some damage, like say you get some vole damage, and all you have to do is just put a little bit of fertilizer out there and a little humate, and all of a sudden the grass just goes, it just fills those spots
off.
back in. Yeah, it's a very aggressive creeper, and so it spreads through those empty patches very, very, very nicely. And so this would be a great grass to put in locations like, say, in shadier spots where your grass has started to thin out, and it will spread more. And what we've also found is if you mow a little bit closer, it spreads even faster. Closer mowing, the grass will spread horizontally. If you mow taller, grass will spread vertically, and so it will grow deeper root system that way. So it really does depend on how you mow, how aggressively your grass grows.
Okay.
So, yeah. So when people plant new grass, that's why we tell them, start mowing it as soon as it needs to be mowed, and then mow it every week, because the more you mow, the more it spreads.
The more it takes off.
Yeah, the more it spreads. So it really does help. But yes, you're right. Great time to throw some new seed out there, get some new grasses incorporated into your lawn. You'll be surprised how much greener, how much better looking they are, how much they're disease resistant, insect resistant, and you just don't have to water as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move from lawns to flower beds, because as we're getting our lawns prepped for spring, it's a good time also to look at the flower beds, because there's some ways that we can add some fertilizer to those flower beds, start getting those ready.
Yes, it is. And when the snow melts and the perennials start popping up, guess what else pops up with them?
Those little
weeds. The weeds. And so using a pre-emergent early on will really, really help. And so you can put your pre-emergent right in with your fertilizer, and sometimes it's got it right with the fertilizer already, and it will kill weed seeds as they germinate and fertilize your existing flowers. So if you've got existing plants in there, whether they're perennials or shrubs, we can put that pre-emergent and the fertilizer down at the same time and prevent weeds and fertilize for the season to get things going. It's a great combination. Yeah,
Okay.
saves a lot of work. It won't kill anything that's there already. So if your weeds are already germinated and established, it won't kill those. It's going to stop new ones coming up from seed. So I think last weekend we were talking about Cazeron. So
Oh, yeah.
a really great time to put Cazeron out for your raspberries or your blackberries or your grapes or your roses, because it will kill those weeds that are out there and prevent new ones from coming up. Most of your pre-emergents won't kill anything that's there already. It just will stop new seeds as they germinate. But you can really save yourself a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of labor if you get that pre-emergent out early with your fertilizer to encourage just a little bit of early growth. And pre-emergent won't hurt bulbs. So if you got like tulips and daffodils coming up, won't hurt those at all either. But it's actually a good time to fertilize your spring flowering bulbs as well too. So yeah, really great time to do that.
All right. So, great time to take care of your lawn, great time to take care of your flower beds, and then it's not too early to start thinking about planting.
No. Where we've got all those bare root plants coming in, it won't be long, and all the shrubs and trees will start coming in as well too. So we've got flowering trees that have already started to arrive, and they're dormant, and they're going to bloom the same time all of our trees here start to bloom as well too. So we're starting to bring in some shrubs. We're starting to bring in some flowering trees as well too. Shade trees will be about the first week of probably April by the time those come in. But right now I've got people coming in asking about protecting their trees from, like, say, aphids or borer as well too, because it's kind of that time to do that. So usually around St. Patrick's Day is when we're recommending to our customers. They're coming in like last fall and their trees were really iron deficient, or they had aphids that just sucked all the sap out of their maples. We usually recommend, hey, around St. Patrick's Day, come in and see us. We'll get you that iron. We'll help you figure out how to control those insects next year. So our customers are starting to come in right now asking for help with those. So great time to put a chelated iron on your trees or shrubs that were iron deficient last year. Get that out there before they leaf out. The roots are picking up nutrient and water like crazy right now. So if you hadn't noticed with the snowstorms, earlier this week, some of the trees kind of started to bend a little bit. Through the wintertime, they don't do that because the sap is frozen inside the trees. Well, trees are warming up and the sap is starting to flow, which means they're starting to pick up nutrient and they're starting to pick up water. And so an application of a chelated iron, like a EDDHA iron right now, would make a huge difference on a iron chlorotic tree from last year. But it's also a really good time to put the insecticides on for aphids or for borers or for gall. Any insects that are attacking, like, say, your maples or your lindens were dripping sap like crazy last year. This is prime time for controlling those before it happens. So tree and shrub drench, like Fertilome's tree and shrub drench, you can mix that up in a 5-gallon bucket and just water your trees or your shrubs with it. And it just depends on how big the tree is, how much you use. But you can just water your trees with it. It absorbs that insecticide up through the root system, and it will kill insects that attack the tree basically for the rest of the year. It lasts about 8 to 10 months. And so you do an application in March, it's going to last until November without any trouble, and it's going to take care of aphids that are sucking sap out of your tree. It's going to take care of borers on your quakies or on your ash trees, and it's going to take care of gall on your locust tree. I mean, there's a lot of different insects that we can control before the leaves even come out on the trees. And this is the prime time for doing that right now.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do it yourself, if you think it's a little bit too complicated, we can come do it for you too. So Logan Extermination, our sister company, does all those applications. So if you don't want to fertilize your lawn, you don't want to put the pre-emergent out, it's too much for you to do the soil drench for your trees, we offer all those services. We'll do all that. We'll aerate for you, and we'll come prune your trees. And
and that would be a good thing to do is is have that tree pruned and then treat it.
And then treat it. Yeah. So after you're done pruning, that's when you want to put your little bit of fertilizer on, do the soil drench at the same time, control insects. And if it's a fruit tree, we would do a dormant spray at that point as well too. So a lot of people are pruning their fruit trees. Great time to prune your fruit trees, get those ready for the growing season. But there's a lot of insects and diseases that have wintered over from last year. So this is the perfect time to do a dormant oil to control insects. Add a little disease control, like a copper soap or a F-stop or something in with it to prevent diseases that have wintered over. And you can control two birds with one stone, or two pests with one stone, and we can get diseases and insects under control that have wintered over from last year. Gives you a good, clean, fresh start for the season with that type of a dormant application. And there's a lot of diseases that winter over. So not only do we have an opportunity to kind of control fire blight a little bit before it gets started, but we've got powdery mildew, and we've got peach leaf curl, we've got shot hole fungus and crinium blight and bacterial bud blight. All those winter over on the trees. And so by putting a fungicide out early, we can kill any of that bacteria or fungal growth before it really starts to take off. Yeah, before it starts to take off. So really good time to do that as well.
And if you're a little hesitant to get out and prune your trees, we were talking about it earlier in the show, and let's go back as we have 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
There are several classes that are going to be held in the next week, and one of those is on pruning.
Yeah, is on pruning. So we've got 3 classes coming up in the next week. So on Wednesday the 13th at Anderson's at 6 p.m. in our classroom, we'll be doing a seminar on growing giant pumpkins. And so we'll walk you through the whole process of how to do it and where to get your seeds and how to start the seeds and how to plant those and protect them and feed them and do all that stuff. Giant pumpkin class this Wednesday, the 13th at 6 p.m. And we'll have some of our giant pumpkin growers from around the valley there to help share with you. There's some great tips and experiences that they've had, and should be a great class. Open for kids and adults, little kids, big kids, want to grow giant pumpkins.
Yeah. Those of us that are little kids at heart.
Exactly. But you do want to sign up for it. So we've got to sign up at the store. You can just call in. They'll help you walk you through it. But you can do it right on our website as well, too. Pruning class is the next day on the 14th, and that's with USU Extension, but that's also at Anderson's, and that's at 6:30. So 6:30, you got to sign up through the USU Extension. That's on their website, and there is a cost for that class. I think it's $10, but it's a great class. J.D. Gunnell, the USU Extension agent for Cache Valley, will be there, and he'll be teaching that class. So that's the 14th at 6:30. And then on Saturday the 16th at 1 p.m., we'll be doing a bare root planting seminar. So if you want to learn how to plant bare root and be more successful when you're planting bare root, that's the seminar to come to, and I'll be teaching that class. And it's really fun. We have a good time. We laugh and learn lots of things and just enjoy each other's company. So.
And aside from the pruning class, the other 2 are free.
Are free, yep. So the pruning class is $10. The other 2 classes are free, and those are all coming up this week. And then after that, we've got the Home and Garden Show the next weekend.
That'll be coming up the 22nd, 23rd.
Yeah, so that's coming up. So a lot of fun things happening at Anderson's. All the bare root plants are coming in, and it's feeling like spring.
Yeah.
It's just feeling like spring at Anderson's, maybe if it has been snowing a little bit too much.
True.
The last week or 10 days. Yeah.
And those classes, as you mentioned, you can sign up on your website. The pruning class, you can sign up by just Google USU Extension, and you can sign up for the pruning class on USU's website.
Yep.
So
and if for some reason our link's not working on the website, just call into the store and they'll walk you through it and show you how to sign up.
Or if you can't find it, we will help you the old-fashioned way as well as the modern technological way. True.
Yeah.
Well, we've got just 2 minutes left, and you mentioned that new plants are coming in daily in some cases to Anderson's. And so great time to take advantage of some of those bare root plants.
Yeah, we've had a mild winter. I'm sure there will have been some loss on some trees for people, so it's a good time to replace those. But the amount of varieties that we've got coming in, we have probably 25 different peaches, and I've got 10 different kinds of nectarines and 10 kinds of plums, and probably at least a dozen pear varieties and 20 kinds of apples. So just lots of varieties to choose from, and so many different plants. And they're all the best ones we can get our hands on. So whether it's strawberries or raspberries or blackberries or blueberries or fruit trees, we've got some great plants coming in. When they're bare root, it's the best price of the season. That's really the best time to buy the plants because you're spending less. They're dormant. They're ready to be planted. And in many cases, especially if you come to our seminar on planting bare root, you'll be really, really successful planting the bare root plants.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're coming to the end of the show. Coming up next week, as the temperatures are warming up, we'll be able to start talking more about prepping your gardens, as we're hoping to be able to get out there and rototill those pretty quickly. And so we hope you join us again coming up next week for the Garden Show, as we'll be able to take more of your questions and calls as you've been listening to the Garden Show here on KVNU. And if you missed a show, or if you want to go back and listen to old shows, you can always visit our podcast library where the shows are all recorded.
News Talk KVNU, Logan, the voice of